Welcome to the Real Food RN Wellness Podcast, the show that empowers you to open your eyes and mind to embrace a healthful life and take your health into your own hands. With topics like detoxing, basic foundational complete nutrition, and essential oil studies and uses, you found the perfect place to start your journey to better all-around health for you and your family. Here you'll discover how to equip yourself to live healthy on your terms with your host and RN, Kate.
Okay, so I want to welcome Samantha Wright to the show. She is the host of the amazing #1 ranked Revolution Oils podcast. It's ranked #1 in essential oils. It's awesome. I'm totally obsessed with it. As you know, I'm a podcast junkie, so naturally I had to have her on the show. She's part of our team. She is very multi-talented, and I just kind of want to know a little bit about your story and what introduced you to essential oils, and then how you managed to turn it into this just amazingness that you have created.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Kate, and congrats on getting the show launched. That's really exciting. You're going to do awesome with it. So let's see my story, how I began. So I've always been really attracted to self-sufficiency, or like taking charge of your own life, whatever that means for you, whether that be like the way that you live. You know, some people want to live off grid with their own chickens and grow their own food. Some people want to take charge of their finances, and I'm just fascinated with anything that sort of puts you in the driver's seat. So especially with childbirth, I'm a doula, I'm a childbirth educator, and I love helping women sort of discover what they want out of their birth experience and then helping them achieve that. So with essential oils, that kind of came into play just through my sort of obsession with self-reliance and my desire to take charge of my own health. So, you know, and taking charge of your own health to me means helping yourself stay healthy and understanding what's in your toolbox instead of, you know, waiting for you to get sick and go to a doctor to get fixed. You do that if you need to, but hopefully we can take charge of our health by just staying healthy. So I like to look at all the different tools that are out there to do that. And I never really knew about essential oils until about 2 or 3 years ago when our mutual friend Becky Webb introduced them to me. So she's actually my neighbor, and she's also a doula, and she introduced the oils to me. And I was so blown away by the stories that she was telling me about, you know, how they had helped other people. And then when I started using them myself, immediately I was just blown away by their power. I've always been really fascinated with like plant therapy, or just, you know, the power that plants have to help us live healthy lives. And essential oils are just a very, very concentrated form of plants, and it's such an easy, convenient way to use them too. So that's sort of how I got started with essential oils. It just sort of fit in with the life I was already living.
So I forgot that you and Becky are neighbors. That's so awesome. Becky's also my upline leader, and she's a good friend of mine. She's just an amazing person. So had you used oils prior to Becky bringing them to you?
No, not really. I mean, I always thought they were just used for like, you know, DIY candles and making your own soaps and stuff, or perfumes. And I've always had a really sensitive nose. So I was definitely the one that was like, oh, I don't think I'll be able to use oils because they make me sneeze, you know, because every time I would walk through the perfume counter or something, I would just start sneezing my head off. So I always thought like, no, they're not for me. And then, you know, when Becky was explaining that like those are very different, those are fragrances, those are synthetic, these are pure, these, you know, shouldn't do that to you. And I was like, all right, I'll give them a chance. Mm-hmm. And I did. And it was amazing. So no sort of reaction.
So how did she present them to you? Like, was it, because I mean, I've had people where they've heard about essential oils, and then all of a sudden they have something that they specifically want, you know, like they really want to try lavender because they read something about it. Was there something that she brought over to you because you had mentioned something, or did she just present you with oils in general?
So this is kind of a funny story. Actually, it really started out as a very almost selfish, desperate endeavor on my part to get out of poverty. So it was kind of all about the money at first for me. Like I didn't know that much about oils. I saw Becky was doing really well with her business, and one day I was just chatting with her online, and I was like, "Hey, you know, how's business going?" And she was like, "It's great. My husband's retiring soon because of my business, and he's going to come home with me. And that was such a life-changing day for me. And I just said, okay, like, tell me how to do this. Like, I want to learn how to do this. And so we got together for coffee. And so I was there just completely like, tell me how to get rich, Becky. And Becky was there going, let me tell you about these amazing oils and how wonderful the farms at Young Living are and how these oils are totally changing people's lives. And I was like, yeah, tell me about the money. It was so funny. And now, I can look back at that moment and totally laugh at myself because I was just, my head was so in a different place than it is now. And that's fine. I mean, people's journeys are different. And I don't hide the fact that, I needed money, and that's how I got started with my Young Living business, because I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people need that opportunity. But it took me a while to sort of change that mindset to, okay, this is actually a product that helps change people's lives. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that. And it wasn't until I started making that mind shift that I then decided to start doing the podcast, because that was when my true passion really started. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about really helping people. And I think you can definitely tell a shift in like my language and like the way I would talk to people about the oils before that moment and then after. So it's kind of an interesting journey.
Well, girlfriend, you came out of nowhere. I mean, I was like, you joined our team and then all of a sudden it was like, bam, here's Sam. She's got like this rockin' website, like your Ninja website. I'm so jealous of that. It's beautiful. This podcast, that's like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and you are amazing. I mean, you're a quick study. I think you just take it and roll with it and just go. And your business is so great. And yeah, I mean, I think there is nothing wrong with making money. I certainly get an income through it. But like you said, you're helping other people. And there's something that's so cool. When someone signs up and gets a kit, you're like, oh, yay, I have another member on my team. I generate more income. But then they email you or text you or whatever that they've started using these oils and they've noticed such and such and such that's benefited them. And that is like, that's the ultimate payment. I mean, that's just so great.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than getting those emails. It's so great. And it's so fun with the podcast because I have way more people listening to my podcast than I do my own Young Living members, so I have lots of people listening in there that are already Young Living members on somebody else's organization or somebody else's team. And they'll write me and they'll email me and they'll just say, your podcast has changed my life. Thank you so much. And the oils have changed my life. And I wouldn't have known to do this without, your podcast. And that is like, there's no greater payment than that.
And it fuels your passion to continue to do it, because when you get that positive feedback, you're like, I have to do more of this. I have to do more of this. And it's just, you've just found such great people to be on your show. And the Seed to Seal one, I give that one to so many people who are like questioning the quality of Young Living. I'm like, listen to this. And they come back. Every time I post that in my group or wherever, people are like, wow. I mean, even the sound effects were amazing in that one.
Oh, thank you. That was a fun one.
I mean, the research and the little excerpts that you had, that was just so amazing. I mean, anybody listening right now, if you go to revolutionoils.com/podcast and just search in Seed to Seal, it's such a great episode. It's talks all about the quality that Gary brings to the oils. Gary is the founder of Young Living. He's really passionate about quality and sourcing and how he farms and everything. And she goes over in there in very good detail. Just, it's eye-opening. It reaffirms that we picked the correct company.
Yeah, it is a super affirming episode. It makes you fall in love with the oils in such a different way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that was fun.
You really appreciate them. So how have the oils personally changed your life outside of like having this amazing podcast and business? Like how has it changed like your family and your marriage and your doula business and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, gosh, it's hard to pare it down into a short answer and also hard to keep it compliant. But I'll just say, I was really, the first time I fell in love with oils was just for using them for like respiratory support. So I live in the most biodiverse area in the world. So there's like more different types of plants in this area than anywhere in the world. So every time there's like, I
didn't know that.
Appalachian Mountains. Yeah.
Oh.
And so, every time there's a seasonal shift, my body's just like, really needs that extra support or I just can't really function. So lemon, lavender, and peppermint, that was just my jam for, and it still is to this day. Almost every morning I'll wake up, I'll, fill up my mason quart jar of water, add a little splash of honey or maple syrup, and then add 3 or 4 drops each of lemon, lavender, and peppermint and just sip on that throughout the day. And it just keeps my body functioning the way it's supposed to function. And it really helps me so much. And then, so that was sort of like my first falling in love with the oils and just how I could feel such a difference in my body. And then after I had my second baby, Layla, she's 2 now, I always have a really hard time with that like immediate postpartum. I think most moms can relate to just that hormonal up and down, up and down. It's so, it's a totally normal part of postpartum, but it's hard nonetheless. And so frankincense was just my go-to for that time period. I would just like rub some on my ears and it would just bring me back down to earth and make me, calm down and just feel a little bit more normal. That combined with Ningxia Red, which isn't technically an essential oil, but Young Living's Ningxia Red drink that we talk about all the time on my show, and I'm sure you're going to talk about it a lot on your show, that changed my postpartum recovery time. It probably cut it down by like 75% compared to my first birth where I hadn't been introduced to them yet. So those are sort of my personal experiences with oils, but I could go on and on and on. They've changed our whole family, the way that we just, help ourselves stay well. I introduce the oils to my clients, if they're interested, and I help them know how to use those, during birth. And I'm not pushy as a doula. I'm totally just there to let the client guide me. And I'm just kind of there to help them, discover what their options are. So I'll just introduce the oils and say, hey, here's a tool in my toolkit. If you want, I can tell you about them. And probably 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh yeah, fun. Let's play with these. And, but if they're not into it, then I just kind of let them do their thing.
Yeah, no, I had a whole sack of oils special just for my 3rd birth. Like it was like that was packed, that was ready. No one touched these oils. These are coming with me. And I totally, frankincense is my favorite oil. I use it every day in numerous different ways. I could not be without it. When I run out, I panic. I always have an extra bottle. And I misjudged my extra bottle the other day and ran out completely and had to do a quick order. And the Ningxia Red, yes, I totally noticed that too with the postpartum recovery. It was really interesting. It's almost like it's a blood builder or something. It was really great. Yeah, I think I've heard some oily midwives say like they can tell which of their clients drink Ningxia Red in pregnancy because the placenta just looks so much healthier. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my birth photographer, craniosacral therapist said the same thing. They actually took pictures of my placenta. Our midwife said it was one of the best she's seen. So naturally, I had it dehydrated and encapsulated, and I ate it when I got home. So
of course, naturally. So we talked a little bit about your doula practice and how you're using those. And what inspired you to start the podcast? And then how do you go about finding people to be on your show? So what inspired me to start the podcast was just this like recognition of the type of members that I was signing up in my organization. They were just these amazing people. I'm so grateful to have all of these amazing members in my business, and they're all so thirsty for knowledge. They just want to know it all. And it was impossible for me to educate them. First of all, I didn't know all the answers. Like I'm just kind of learning alongside everybody, and still on the podcast, I'm not the expert. That's why I do interviews so that I can learn alongside everyone else. And I wanted there to be a resource to share with my members that could teach them all about their oils without them having to kind of get lost in like the world of Google trying to find all these answers. Because what happens so often is people they want to learn about essential oils. They start searching on Google and they'll come across some tabloid or some, crazy article that's totally false, that trash talks and is totally fear-based, and that kind of freaks them out. So I wanted a resource that was actually legitimate, that had real experts coming on to tell the truth about essential oils. And so, yeah, I sort of started it with my members in mind, but then I kind of quickly realized that this was something that could benefit, the entire essential oil world. And that's really fun to be able to kind of contribute something back to this world of aromatherapy and essential oils that can benefit everybody.
Well, and everybody's wellness. I mean, my gosh, you had Sean from the Model Health Show on there. Hello. I mean, you've had some amazing guests that are not even in the essential oil realm, and you're bringing all kinds of goodness. I mean, that's the really fun thing about your podcast is that people will listen to it thinking, oh, I like oils. And then you get in there and you're like, whoa, this is so much more. And that's what's so cool. And that's what I hope my podcast does someday too, once I kind of get my feet wet and learn the ropes. But I appreciate that because you touch on so many different things. And I mean, and you're just amazing with your doula thing and everything, you're a very valuable resource to women and people all over the world. So who have been some of your favorite guests outside of Sean, of course?
Oh, man, outside of Sean. Yeah, Sean. Well, then the Sean Stevenson one, I'll just kind of point on that for a second because I just felt like I was just getting started with the podcast and I wanted to do a really good job. And I've been obsessed with his show for forever. Anyone that hasn't listened to the Model Health Show by Sean Stevenson, oh my gosh, it is so amazing.
Him? I mean, he's such a big star.
It was such a combination of stubborn drive on my part and awesome timing on his part because he had just finished writing his new book that he was launching. And so if, as soon as any big person writes a new book, that's the time you want to invite them onto your show because they're saying yes. It was Sleep Smarter. Yeah. Because they'll say yes to almost any sort of interview, anything just to get the word out about their book, I think. So I'd like to think he said yes because I was just so adorable and, he knew that my show would be wildly successful, but I think it probably had more to do with the fact that he was promoting his book. And it's funny because he's not really that familiar with essential oils. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have him on my show because it's supposed to be about essential oils. And I was like, no, I'm totally using my position here to chat with Sean Stevenson for an hour. And it was great. He was so nice. I mean, after the interview, we chatted for a while and he was just such a sweet guy. So that was probably one of the highlights, but, some of the other people I've had on, Jim Bob Haggerton, you've got to have him on your show. Oh, he's so great.
I could listen to him talk for hours. He's so smart.
Yeah, he's great. He's done Core 4 and an episode about myth busting for us. And that was really great. I'm probably gonna have him back on soon. He's just such a favorite. Every time he's on the show, my numbers spike up. And he's great. He's got such a loyal following. And Dr. Carolyn Mine, who wrote the Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And
book.
Her book is great. She is so great. She's the most soft-spoken, intelligent, kind healer that I've ever had the privilege to talk with. And I think her book gets referenced more than any other book in my podcast. I'd say probably about 25% of my episodes, people are referring back to her book. So it was such an honor to have her on and really, really great to talk to her.
Yeah, she's just so intuitive. She just really is energetically in tune with the oils or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I actually referenced her book on my last podcast about energy healing. I mean, that book is really, it's so weird when you first get it. You're like, I don't understand how to read this, but it's kind of like a choose your own adventure as you navigate through to narrow it down to what your issue is. And then it's amazing how well it works.
Yeah. Oh, it's really more of a reference guide. It's not like a book you sit down and read, front to back. It's just, kind of a guide. Like you said, it's like a choose your own adventure. I like that. Instead of calling them reference guides, let's call them choose your own adventure books.
Did you grow up reading those in school? Choose your own adventures? Yes.
Yeah, they're so great.
That pains me.
So those are, and then recently I had Nicole Grabber on the show, thanks to you, actually. You recommended her. Oh, it was amazing. It was, she talked all about PTSD in veterans and a lot of other veteran issues. And that's a topic I probably never would have thought of without your suggestion there. Actually, it was a listener of mine that wrote in asking about PTSD and veteran issues. And that's kind of what got me started searching for that. And then you were like, hey, talk to this girl. And I cried during that episode. That was so emotional. It was such a powerful experience.
Yeah, she's one of my team members. She's just amazing, super motivated, like awesome person, really wants to help people. And she did a post about PTSD and oils, and I just put it out on my Real Food RN Facebook page. I mean, even though it like has nothing to do with real food, I just thought this is a really helpful post. I'm going to put it out there, and I could not believe the mileage that post got.
Yeah.
I mean, people were coming out of the woodwork like, this is really great, and tagging all their friends. And I'm like, oh, so I just keep cycling it through because, I mean, we kind of forget about that population. You know, they come home from war and it's like they're just supposed to blend back in with society. And I can't imagine what that's like. And to be able to use oils to support your emotional health and be able to recover from that, I mean, that's awesome because it's not a drug. You know, some people will have to be put on medications or receive therapy or anything. If they can do something that can just kind of help them get their mind in the right place with a natural thing, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, Nicole's doing wonderful things. I keep encouraging her to just really take that topic and run with it. So she's doing that because she's military mom or military wife.
Right.
So she's immersed in it at all times. So what are your top 5 favorite oils?
Oh, my top 5 favorite oils. Okay. It's funny. Actually, I just recorded an episode about my top 10 favorite oils.
Ooh, well,
on the podcast.
Do 10 if you'd
so
like.
It's good timing. But it was hard enough to pare it down to 10. So paring it down to 5. Let's see. I'd probably have to say frankincense. Okay. Frankincense, die guys. Purification.
Sorry to put you on the spot with this question.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna have to let me re-record this part. I gotta write this down because I can't think. What did I just say? Oh yeah.
God, those are some of my favorites too, for sure.
I know, they're so good. Oh, Shutron, duh.
Oh, really?
Oh, love it. Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Do you want to ask me again, or should I just go for it?
Go for it.
Okay, I'd have to say frankincense. We've already kind of talked about.
Yeah, for
highest potential.
Grounding.
What?
For grounding, like. What would you say your number 1 use is for each of them too?
Oh gosh, frankincense. Well, that's one of the reasons I love frankincense so much is it's like you can use it for a million different things.
Yeah, you really can.
But I'd say emotionally, just that grounding, that centering, that it's like almost like you've been meditating for 30 minutes, but you haven't had to meditate for 30 minutes, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, that feeling again without the work. It's great. And so yeah, frankincense for sure. Highest potential, I'd say, is my second. It's a blend, and it just makes me buzz. It just makes my whole body just go buzz and feel like I can do anything. Like give me anything and I can do it. And it just gives me that energy and that boost of confidence before I speak, before I do like a really big work thing, public speaking. I have to wear highest potential with public speaking or I just can't do it. Nutmeg is becoming one of my favorite oils. Really? And yeah, after Jessica Nolt was on my show, she talked all about adrenal fatigue. And this oil came up as a good support for the adrenals. And she said, just rub it on your lower back. So I will do that. And the feeling is just so warming. It's like you're being hugged by like a big warm person and snuggling up. So it feels like you're getting snuggled when you put nutmeg on your low back.
That's
which
really
I love.
Interesting because in the Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils, it narrowed it down to my problem was adrenals. So they said the oil that supports the adrenals was nutmeg, and the spot was a spot on my foot, a spot on my hand, and a spot just to the right of my belly button. And that's
interesting.
what you use the nutmeg for, and it worked. It was really, really interesting. So yeah, nutmeg, I guess that's going to have to move into one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I'll have to try those different parts of it too. But I love the smell too. Like I love the smell of nutmeg. It's funny because I don't actually like the taste. I don't like it in my food, but I love the smell of it. Let's see. And then I'd say I've got 2 more. Shutron. Shutron is my jam, or I'd say my husband's jam. I guess I don't wear it that much, but I like when he wears it, and if we diffuse it for sure. And I'll keep your show PG here. We don't want to have you hit that explicit button, so I'll leave it there. But man, that oil works.
Well, and they have last year for Christmas I bought that for my husband, and then there's like a Shutron shave oil too.
Yeah,
that's pretty
cool. It's
cool.
Great. My husband uses that too. Mm-hmm. He puts it on, and I love the smell. I'm just like, bye, honey. Have a good day at work. Be home soon. Please.
Yeah, and it's nice too because it's not like those shaving creams and stuff are just full of junk. And if you think about it, when you're cutting, I mean, you can have little microscopic cuts in your skin. It's just soaking it into your bloodstream. So use something that's natural, guys.
Yeah, and dreamy, and makes your wife want to kiss you a lot.
I should hide it.
Let's see. I've got 1 more. I'd say Stress Away is probably my 5th. Yes, as a mom. Well, I mean, I only have 2 kids. I feel like I have no right to complain. But man, 2 kid parenthood, it will kick you in the butt. Oh my goodness. It tests every little button that you have. So I could go through gallons and gallons of Stress Away. It just helps. I used it in childbirth as well. It was such a grounding and just relaxing smell for me. I love the vanilla in it.
Yeah. It's such a vanilla lime. Like, it makes a really nice perfume.
Yeah.
And I'm always, I mean, we diffuse it in our camper when we're going down the road because the kids, they're not seat belted in, but we keep them in a safe spot, but they think that they can get up and run around. So it's stressful to be like, okay, no, we need to stay seated. The baby's in the car seat in the passenger side, obviously. But so I have Stress Away in the diffuser, and I'm just like trying to keep everybody calm until we get to our destination, and it works like magic. It just chills them out.
Yeah.
So, and they like the smell of it too, because it's kind of, I don't know, it just smells yummy. Like you just kind of want to eat it.
Yeah, I think some people do. I haven't done that, but some people drink it.
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah, I've not. I don't know if it's like indicated for that or not. And so I'm always like reading, like, okay, if it's not dietary, I'm not going to do it that way. I know when I first got it, I was afraid to take anything in internally, but I've slowly added things. And there's, especially at convention when they do the Ningxia shots where you can add the oils to them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my team member Heather had this really great one. It's like an energy bomb, and it's got all these different kinds of citrus. It's got like nutmeg, copaiba, all these things in it. And I mean, you take that, Red Bull can't even stand a chance to that stuff. Oh my gosh. And it wasn't like jittery energy. It was like, I can take on the world energy. So it was really good. I need to put that post up on my blog because that recipe was amazing. It has like 7 different oils in it with the Ningxia. Oh, it's great.
Wow.
So I kind of want to wrap it up here. So I like to ask my guests 2 closing questions. And so number 1, at the very most basic level, what is one simple and important step that people can do to get on track with great health? Like with regards to essential oils, like what is the first baby steps they can take?
Oh, so I didn't think about this in regards to essential oils, but that's cool. This actually works. I was going to say community was sort of my first step. I mean, I think that's such an important step for anyone to take, especially if you've sort of been in that position where you're like, okay, I know I need to make some changes. I know I need to take care of myself. I know, like, if I keep doing what I'm doing now, I'm not going to live a healthy lifestyle. Something's got to change. Sometimes it's so hard to make any change unless you start surrounding yourself by people who are also living it with you or who are supporting you or giving you that encouragement. So I think finding some sort of community, whatever that looks like, is such an important health step to take that not a lot of people really talk about. They always kind of go to the like, okay, you need to stop eating this and start doing this and start exercising. But I think all of those things are so hard if we don't have people around us supporting us. So that's one of the reasons that I love being a part of this whole industry of essential oils, is because it's really built on that concept of community. It's why they have sponsors when you sign up to become a Young Living member. It's why they have these teams and these things. So with our Revolution Oils group, we have a whole private Facebook group just for our members. And I think it's such a great resource because it's like this community space that you can go to say like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Like, who else has dealt with this? And to get that support and just to see other people going through kind of what you're going through and making changes in their lives. Listening to the podcast, I think, is a really great like sense of being a part of something, because feeling that isolation, feeling like you're doing it all alone, that's what stops a lot of people, I think, from making those changes.
Yeah, that's a really good answer because it really does tie in because your podcast fosters such a like sense of community. And then our Revolution Oils team, the people that like attracts like, the people that have been attracted to our team, we have such a great group of people from like all these different health related backgrounds. I just think that's so cool. And our group is so supportive. So yeah, I totally agree with that completely. So
yeah,
what baby steps do you think people could take to get started with oils?
Baby steps with oils. I think the easiest baby step is just getting that premium starter kit if you haven't done that already, because then you don't have to think about, okay, what oils should I try first? Like they've spelled it all out for you. They're basically saying like, okay, if you want to get started, like here's the oils to start with, here's the diffuser. Like that's really the best way to go. And then I'd say start out by just putting, smelling the oils when they come in, choosing the one that smells best to you. Whatever smells best to you, put a few drops in your diffuser, keep that diffuser going for a couple days. And that's how you get started. That's how you really start to fall in love with that whole world.
Yeah, I agree. No, that kit really is great because they put those everyday essentials, the ones that are like the most used. I remember when I got my kit, I had it sitting on the counter. My husband was so excited to see what it was all about. And he grabbed the frankincense bottle first and he opened it and just put some in his mouth. And I'm like, whoa, buddy, like, what are you doing? Like that wouldn't be my first reaction, right? And he goes, whoo, this is like the best energy drink ever. And then like left the room. And I was like, I hope he doesn't die. Like I had no clue. So that was our
so
first
funny.
experience.
See, my husband, Shambay, his first interaction with the starter kit was like, okay, honey, the starter kit's in. Let me put some raw peppermint on your stomach because you need some support. I had no idea what I was doing. So I put, undiluted peppermint right on his stomach. And he was like, Sam, this is burning. Is it supposed to be doing that?
Yeah, that was
I'm like, powerful. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what I'm doing here since we have learned to dilute peppermint before putting it on our bellies. And then once I like had peppermint on my my hands and I was like rubbing some on his chest and I accidentally flicked a little bit into his eye. Oh, yeah. So that was Shambay's first introduction to essential oils.
But diluting
a little bit
daunting. And rubbing it on your tummy, oh my gosh, that is the best when your stomach feels a little off. I love it. And then a little digest drop under the tongue. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. I just absolutely love that. So yes, I definitely second the starter kit. I think that is great. I was going to say something else about it, but I forgot. So what do you think, this is my second question, what do you think is the most detrimental influence on our health today?
I would say cheap, easy processed foods and just their abundance around us. It's so much easier to eat something that like A, tastes delicious, B, is super fast, and 3, is cheap than it is to eat something that, costs twice as much, takes twice as much time to make it. And let's be honest, usually doesn't even taste as good because it's not full of a bunch of that, crap that makes it taste so good. Mm-hmm. So just that position that we're all in our society of being surrounded by these fast, easy, cheap options that are so bad for our health, that it's just so hard to get past that ease, that convenience. You really have to be very dedicated to say no to that kind of solution, especially if you're, in the working class or if you're maybe in a lower income bracket. Like I know how hard it is to find the time if you're, working all the time to cook, and then B, to be able to afford that food that is so much more expensive. it can be so challenging. So I don't want anyone to be like, beating themselves up if they feel like they don't have time to cook or they can't afford the healthy food. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I just want to acknowledge the fact that that it's really hard. It's a very hard position to be in a society that does not value food, that does not value health. And it affects our entire culture. It's like what our culture consists of is fast, cheap, easy. So that's kind of hard. Sorry, I kind of got on a little soapbox there, didn't I?
I virtual high-fiving you right now. No, I completely agree. And that's really profound. I mean, saying, that a society that doesn't value health, it's so true. Like we really don't, we value consumerism and being like the people that we see on TV. It seems like a lot of the population values that kind of stuff. And we don't think about health in a eating healthy foods kind of way. It's more like a caloric restriction, 100 calorie pack kind of deal. And it's sad. And I mean, if you've ever read the book Excitotoxins by Russell Blaylock, he talks all about the addictive properties behind our foods and how the food manufacturers actually manufacture chemicals that make it taste better and make it highly addictive. I mean, they say sugar is more addictive than cocaine. So we're doing a disservice because, I mean, people try these foods, they taste amazing because they're firing all these parts of their brains and they get hooked, and it's not their fault. We're doing this collectively and it's so hard.
Right. Well, and you combine that with the fact that we're a culture that values work above everything else. Like if you're not contributing financially to society, then you are seen as basically worthless. And, if you're not working, 80 hours a week, then you're just average. And if you're taking time off of work to take the time to eat, to cook, prepare and eat a healthy lunch, and God forbid, maybe even do a little bit of exercise in the middle of the day, like that's considered, what are you can't take that much time off of work. Like you can't take off time to take care of yourself. We just don't value it.
And that kind of comes back full circle with this whole Essential Oils podcast, is that when I was blogging, I was still working full-time at the hospital and blogging, full-time whenever I could, weekends, evenings, in the bathroom at work, And once I added essential oils to my business and got over the whole, I'm never going to do multi-level marketing thing, and then just embraced that I could make money from something, that gave me that financial and time freedom so that I can prepare my meals for my family. I can go exercise in the middle of the day. But yet I'm still generating an income and contributing to society and paying my own bills. So it's such a wonderful business opportunity, especially for moms, because we can pay the bills, but we can be home with our kids every day, and we can make them nutritional meals, and we can do all these things. I mean, like last night I was creating a recipe for my blog. I was making a, what am I even going to call it? Thai peanut chicken salad. And I couldn't get the flavor to pop because I love that Thai spice. And I just couldn't get it. So I'm like, oh, of course, nutmeg and lime Vitality Essential Oil. Put some of that in. Even though I had lime juice ginger. Sorry, not nutmeg, ginger. I had ground fresh ginger. Adding in those oils made it pop just the right amount.
Oh my gosh.
And my husband's
like,
what
I've been obsessed
amazing.
With lately? I've been obsessed with adding lemongrass to like all of my soups that I've been cooking. It is so good. Yeah, Lemongrass Vitality Essential Oil. So I interviewed Julie Chertel just last week on the podcast. She owns this amazing restaurant. It's the only restaurant in the world where every single food item has Young Living essential oils in it. All the drinks, all the food, all the smoothies, all the baked goods. It's amazing. So she was on the show and she shared all about, using oils for cooking. And she always makes this joke about lemongrass, and people say, oh, what's lemongrass good for? And she says it's good for, I think she said like massage, spiritual awakening, and soup. And so I made 2 soups so far with it, and just adding like 2 drops at the end is, oh my gosh. It's amazing.
So going to do that. I drink bone broth every night, and one of my favorite foods on the planet is Vietnamese pho chicken soup, and lemongrass is in that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why?
Yes.
Why has this not occurred to me until now? Thank you. I think you may have just changed my life forever. I'm going to put lemongrass in my bone broth tonight. I bet you that's going to be
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. Let me know how you like it.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, with that, I need to sprint upstairs and make some bone broth lemongrass soup right now. I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I want you to tell people where they can find you online and otherwise.
Sure. So if anyone wants to listen to the podcast, just put the search term essential oils into any of your favorite podcast apps, and I should be the number one up there. It's called The Essential Oil Revolution. It's like got a green background with a white logo on it. So it's pretty easy to find any podcast app, or you can listen online at revolutionoils.com. Just click on podcast there, and that's where all our show notes live and things like that. If you're interested in learning more about all the other work that I do, childbirth stuff, and I even do a little bit of business coaching, just go to SamanthaLeeWright.com, and it's sort of my umbrella website that sort of sends people to all the different little things that I do.
Yeah, you have a beautiful website, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
Like it. I showed my tech team the Ning's Red page. I'm like, can I have something like this? They're like, we'll put that one on the to-do list. I'm like, oh.
I did that one myself, actually.
Did you? Dang,
yeah, I
girl. Did. You guys go check out that page, and then you can give her a virtual high five, too, because she put that page together and does all these other things. How's that? So yeah, I mean, definitely, I would say, you guys, if you want to start out listening to the podcast and you're feeling kind of overwhelmed, even just listening to the Seed to Seal one first. I love that one so much. It's such a great introduction to how oils are created and made and everything. So I think that's a really good starter one. But yeah, please go check out our podcast. It will change your life. Even if you've never used oils, just go and listen and visit our revolutionoils.com team page. That's our team. We'd love to have you on. Of course, we always encourage you to sign up under the person who introduced you to oils. But I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And I'll probably have to have you on again sometime because you're just fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll definitely have to have you back on our show too. And if anyone wants to listen to that Seed to Seal episode that you mentioned, it's number 42. So we label all of our episodes by number, so they're easy to find on your podcast app. It's hard to search for specific episodes sometimes, but
good. Thank you.
Episode 42. But no, thanks, Kate. It's been such a pleasure to chat with you. And yeah, you need to come on my show again so we can tell everyone about your podcast.
I was on her podcast a while ago, and we talked all about non-toxic cleaners and how to make your own cleaner. So if you want to listen to us chat about other stuff, I was on your podcast. I think it was like number 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it was really early on. Yeah.
So go check that out. But it's
definitely overdue to have you back. Isn't it amazing? Like we're over 50 episodes now, and there's still like a bajillion topics that we haven't talked about.
Yeah,
so
you have the best topics.
Anyway, I'm holding you back from your bone broth. I know you got to go. But thank you so much for having me on. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening in to Real Food RN Wellness Podcast today. By tuning in regularly, you will begin to take your healthful lifestyle into your own hands and develop an empowered attitude about yours and your family's life. If you want to be the first to know about the latest news, recipes, and healthy living tips, then go to www.realfoodrn.com and sign up today.